Hi everyone, I'm Stephen King from Boltight. In this video, I will showcase the Typhoon Plus hydraulic tensioner. The Typhoon Plus is Nord-Lock Group's go-to product for the wind industry. Today I will show you a step-by-step process on how to correctly install and remove the hydraulic tensioners. So come follow me to the training room. So here we are with our flange and our M36 bolt, and we're going to be working with our Typhoon Plus here. And we're going to show you how to install it, tighten the nut, and uninstall it after we detension. All right, so it's a pretty simple setup. You set it on the bolt right there. You have a 1/2 inch ratchet, goes into the top of the puller mechanism up here on top, and we're just going to ratchet it down into place. Now, sometimes you'll have space to be able to completely rotate all the way around like this, but sometimes you'll just be stuck and you just have to ratchet back and forth. But there's a couple ways to do it. So we're screwing down here, and what I'm paying attention to is I'm making sure that my socket slips into place. You heard it right there, snap. Once we know that socket's lined up, we don't have to worry about the nut pushing into the bottom of the socket and messing up the tensioner. So there we are, everything's set up. One thing to be very sure of is you need to make sure that your ratchet for your gearbox down here that you tighten your nut with is clear from the hose right here. It's pretty simple. You can offset one direction and one the other direction. Once the socket's seated, you can go whichever direction you need. So here we are right here. I've got my socket off to one side. I've got my hose set up off to the other side. Now, similar to the way we do our oil and gas tensioners, you don't want to screw this all the way down to where it's super tight. You want to take it down until it touches and then back it off just a little bit so there's some slack in the tensioner. All right, so I've got my tensioner there. I've got my socket ready to go here. I'm going to hook up my hose. And just like all of our other videos, you're going to want to make sure you lock the collar so that way it doesn't pop off. All right, there we go. So we're going to pressure this up, and as it's pressured up, we're going to slowly take up the slack in the nut as it goes, okay? And there's a reason for this. You can see my socket's turning there. All right, so I'm keeping up with the pump. All right, and there we go. We're tight right there. Now, the reason we do that as we take up is because if you wait for the pump to finish pressurizing and you try to screw that down, you'll have a flat spin on the nut, and you'll have to sit there and hold the back of the ratchet to keep it from spinning. So if you keep up with it, you don't have to worry about the nut getting away from you. All right, so I'm snug there, we're tight. We'll say release. All right, there we go, the pressure's off the tool, and now the nut's tight. What we do at this point was we would remove our tensioner, take it off, and then we're going to move it to the next stud, and then we would just repeat the process all the way around. So that's the installation process for the Typhoon Plus. When it comes to removal, the process is a bit different. Let's head back to the training room, and I'll show you how it's done. One of the most common emergency calls we get is somebody stuck the nut onto the bottom of the tensioner while they were detensioning and they didn't know what to do. So we're going to show you two things. We're going to show you how to detension it, and then we're going to discuss what to do if you do get it stuck on there. So I've got my tensioner here. We're going to screw it onto the bolt. And we're going to pay attention to the socket. See, it just snapped on right there. You heard it snap. So we get it screwed all the way down to the flange, and now we're touched to the flange. And here's the important part. We need to back it off a full turn. So we're going to go full turn back. And the reason why we're doing that is we're trying to leave some slack for the nut to relax into. And so the next critical point, once we pressurize this, is you have to make sure not to back the nut off too far. We just need to back it off like what we call two windows. So you would just move the ratchet side to side twice. So 1, 2 to loosen it. And that will keep the nut from going all the way up into the puller. So we'll show you that first, and then we'll discuss what to do if you get it stuck. So let me hook my hose up real quick. Again, make sure you lock your collar. All right, go ahead. So what you'll see here as he pressurizes it, you're going to see a pretty good gap on the top. That's common. The only thing you got to be careful of is to make sure that you don't see the red overstroke indicator. All right, there we go. So I'm going to go 1, 2. That's all I've got to do. And when we release the pump, we should feel the tensioner loosen up, and you're going to feel the nut loose, okay? Now, here's the big difference. Let's go ahead and pressurize it one more time, and I'm going to show you what happens when you get it stuck.